Welcome to the Harry Jez Rugby Language channel. Today we're just going to talk about the Italian squad that has been named to take part in the Autumn Nations Series for 2024. I will preference this that there's some interesting names in this squad, I should say, or as we would say, squadra in Italian, but there's some good, there's some bad, and what I think about it. So Avanti forwards, Lorenzo Canoni with his brother Nicolo. That's a good little pairing there. With Tommaso Di Bottalamo. I don't know much about the guy, but he plays for Zebra in Parma, so could be interesting. Then we've got Simone Ferrari, who plays his rugby in Italy at Benetton. Look, he's a good player. He's very dynamic as a front rower, and he can truck up the ball, or he can just run through people. Simple as that. Then we go to Daniele Fischetti. Same idea. Plays his rugby in Italy. Good hard ball runner. That's what we sort of want. Then we've got Alessandro Izzicator, who's a flanker / lock. Look, I've seen bits of him. He trucks up all right. He's got some wheels, so it's good in that position if you have some wheels there. Dino Lamb. Now, Dino plays his rugby in England for Harlequins, and I have been watching a bit of the Premiership, and Dino's been going all right. He's been rolling and trucking around like it's not so much of a deal, and once he gets into the backfield, no one can really stop him, can he? Yep. Then we've got Gianmarco Lucchese. Look, he's a good, solid player to have. I don't know what sort of role they're going to have him at there, whether it's going to be a starting role or a bench role. But if it's a bench role, he'll just, which I would highly say, I'm highly certain it would be a bench role. He can just come off the pine and do what he needs to do. Sebastian Negri, look, I haven't seen much of the guy play, but apart from the odd Six Nations match, so I don't know how he's tracking yet. Or if you've been watching the Full Contact documentary. Look, I'm skeptical about some of how he's going to perform, especially against that end game against New Zealand. Yes, he's got a good. He can run hard, the man, but look, I feel like he can just take a step back if they got others that can fill that role of the hard ball runner. Nicola Canoni's a great example, and his brother Lorenzo. Look, they're hard men to stop. So some of their opponents on that tour, some of their opponents in that fixtures, should be aware of the fact that there's going to be both the Canoni brothers, because sometimes teams will play and prepare for one of them to be out. So that would be interesting. And then Giacomo Nicotera. Look, I've seen bits of him in the Six Nations. He runs well. He passes well. He throws well. Sometimes there's a skew line up, but that happens to all hookers. So it's not be all and end all if that happens. But we would want him, and I'm sure the coach has said to him, look, just get your throws right if he's in there. which he is. Wasn't surprised at all with Giacomo Nicotera being in. Michele Lamaro, again, the captain, he's physical, he's hard, he runs the ball, he's a good sport. Yeah, so from Benetton, so look, Captain Courageous is what I would say he is. And then we've got Marco Ricconi playing at Saracens. He's one of the 2 English players that play for Italy. Play their trade in England, but play for Italy. Dino Lamb, who I mentioned earlier, is the other one. And then we've got Federico Ruzza. This guy's a hard as nails guy. So I wouldn't be surprised if they put him in maybe that second game against Georgia in Genoa. Is where I think he will shine. And that last game against New Zealand in Turin will be also a good way to get the balls rolling for them at the end of the tournament. But look, it's really anyone's game. I think he'll also be a factor in that first game against Argentina and Udine. I don't know how much of a role he will play in that first game, but that middle game against Georgia, I think they will want to put eyes and ears onto the Georgians will want to put eyes and ears onto Ruzza and get some more ball out the back line. But him and some other players are going to have to stop that. But first, you're going to have to get them to stop driving through the middle, and that's what Ruzza's good at. Now, these are the forwards first. We'll go on to the backs later. But Mirko Spagnolo, sort of unknown quantity. Really like his hard running ball style and the little flip passes, that's what the Italians have been missing in the forwards. Yes, they can do that in the backs, but I'll get to the backs later. Andrea Zamboni, haven't seen too much of him. Comes off the bench occasionally. I think that's where he'll be for this Automation series. Do I think he'll get many minutes? Look, maybe that back 20 against Argentina and the full 80, hopefully the full 80 against Georgia and maybe the back sort of 20 against New Zealand, but I don't think he'll do anything special. Yeah, Ross Vincent again. A bit like Alexander Ikiator. Plays his rugby in Exeter, so I've been able to see a bit more of them, the guys who play in England. Look, I'm sort of seeing Andrea Zamboni and Ross Vincent as a accessor to Alexander Ikiator, and they will try and truck that ball up and maybe do those loopy passes up to the backs, which is not always ideal, but in those cases you want like when you're playing New Zealand especially, you want to throw them off, and I feel like that's where those guys will come through. Now, Manuel Zellini, I think he'll get his first start. He's come off the bench quite a number of times for Michele Lamaro and co, so they might rotate him out or rotate him a bit. I think he'll get the nod against Georgia just because, or they might put him at number 8. And they have put him at number 8 before in the Six Nations. He was a gun. I remember watching him. So that would be good, Manuel Zellini. coming off the bench a couple of times. Yeah, I think he'll just play, most of the time he'll play a bench role, he'll play number 8. Then we'll go to the backs. Tre quarti in Italian. Tommaso Allen is the guy who I'm looking at there. I'm sort of thinking he'll run the show a little bit out in the backs. I think they'll just use him as a fire halver on the inside and just put him there and he can do his stuff. And then Giulio Braccani. Look, again, haven't heard of him, haven't seen him play that much. He plays for Valladolid Emiliana in the Peroni top 10. So I don't know a lot about that competition. I don't know a lot about those players. So it'll be interesting to see how he goes. I don't think they'll debut him if he is a debutant. I don't think they'll debut him against New Zealand or Argentina. I think they'll keep him for that middle game against Georgia, and he can just come on and show the selectors what they're after. And Juan Ignacio Brex. Okay, so that combination of Allen and Brex could be alright in the centres. Very strong, powerful runner is Brex, originally from Argentina. And look, he plays some good rugby. He's most of the time the star for the Italians, if it's not Gabisi and co. Fusco, yeah, I think he could get a go this Autumn Nations series. Maybe against Argentina or New Zealand. I think one of them he'll start off the bench. I'm probably gonna say New Zealand is where they'll start him off the bench. Yeah, again, Georgia, physical side. I don't know whether he'll cope with their style of play. And the backs being speedy they might start him at his favourite position against Georgia. Now, Matt Gallagher, he's a weekend fullback. I had to look this guy up. He's English originally, but his mother is Italian, so that's how he qualifies. Yeah, other than the research I've done, don't know much about this guy, so I have to see how he goes. Yeah, maybe against Argentina, or maybe Georgia again. Sounds like a debutant to me, so Georgia or Argentina. I doubt that he'll get the nod against New Zealand just because they probably want some more experienced players playing New Zealand. Oh, I didn't mention Alessandro Gabisi. Alessandro Gabisi. I did think that he might get in. I wasn't 100% certain that he was going to get in, but by what I've seen in the Six Nations of Alessandro, he's like his brother. He runs and runs and runs, but a few kicks, just really precise, the ones I've seen. But his brother, Paolo, yeah, those two could team up theoretically for Georgia. Again, they'll probably want to tire Georgians out with the kicking, so I wouldn't be surprised if they go with Alessandro and Paolo for that halves combination against Georgia. But what do I know what Francisco Gonzalez is going to do? So, and then Montiuani, definitely one wing there for Montiuani. Has played a bit of fullback, but I think he'll start on the wing. Louis Lino will probably be the other wing. Tommaso Menoncello, I would see him starting on the bench for maybe all 3 of the tests, at least 2 of the tests. And I would be surprised if Pajarello and Alessandro Gabisi sort of switch around in that halfback pairing position. I wouldn't be surprised for the more high stakes games that they use Fusco or Pajrello. But for the lesser games, the lesser game Georgia, could be an option to do the Gabisi brothers as a halves pairing. Jakob Trula, again, could be anything. It's nice to see him back. I haven't seen him in the Italian squad for a while, so that's nice. And then Marco Zanon. Okay, so a centre who can play both centre positions. Where would I choose him? I see him more as an outside centre, but he's recently been playing inside. Yeah, the size is there from Zanon, but I would like to see Gonzalo Quesada maybe try his hand at doing an outside pairing, because you got these, especially for Georgia, you got these big forwards, and if the forwards from Italy can't tackle them, then you're going to need someone like a Zanon and maybe a fullback to get these mountain men down. But overall, I think the squad for Italy looks relatively clear-cut, concise. Can't say too much about it, but we'll just have to see what goes on from our coach point of view. Gonzalo Quesada's very tight-knit, and look, I feel like that he could stay long-term there. That's enough from me. I'll see you next one. Harry is out. Please like and subscribe.